And I'd like to move on now to another area where you're concerned about the typical American, and that's property tax hikes. You know, the government is struggling here, not just at the federal level. You know, they've got that printing press, don't they? But the local level and the state municipalities, they need those dineros to keep flowing, to keep these rusty cogs spinning. And, you know, we already have a failing infrastructure. Our bridges are practically rusted through. So who are they going to chase after here? Well, you point out the middle and the lower classes, the typical working folks who don't have that lobby to protect them. They're going to flip the bill for all these bailouts and the rest of it, and not to mention the big squeeze here, property taxes. Tell folks more.
Well, that's why we're going to see more tax revolts. The tea parties and tax revolts we saw in April are just the beginning. We'll probably see more come July, and they're going to go on. History was made when this happened. People can't afford to pay them anymore. They're losing their jobs. Their incomes are declining. Median household income is well below 1999 levels. These politicians are trying to squeeze more money out of the little people while the big guys get all the breaks. And you talk to the average person, they'll say, where's my bailout? Where's my rescue plan? So we're going to start seeing off with their heads, more tax revolts, and people, they're just not going to be able to do it. Again, my saying as a Bronx boy is, when people lose everything and they have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And you're going to start seeing people lose it.
I'd like to talk a little bit more about this college crash you see coming. What we're referring to as a Great Recession, you're calling the Greater Depression, will lead to a culling of universities and the college system. And this makes perfect sense. You know, we've been talking about it for about a year here on Gold Seek Radio. As the economy contracts, folks don't have that $30,000 per semester tuition fees. So there's going to be some downsizing and some failures. Can you tell us some more?
Oh, yeah, it's become the college industrial complex. You're spending this kind of money for your kid to get a degree. You know, give me a break. What are they going to do with this stuff? You know, get a job at Sports Authority? Being taught 20th century courseware as we move into the 21st. You know, the colleges are way behind the curve. People are not going to be able to afford it, and they've expanded just like governments have, and businesses that shouldn't have had expanded. Why, they're building all these sports stadiums, multi-million-dollar contracts for their coaches. What does this have to do with education? It has nothing to do with it. And they've all done it, even the smaller colleges. They have football teams, basketball teams, you name the teams. It's not what college is. This isn't rah, rah, rah. This is how do I make a buck? And they haven't prepared for it. They've well overexpanded. They're going to have to contract. We're, just like we're over-retail stored, we're over-colleged. You're going to start seeing them folding up.
Very well said. Okay, well, as we wrap up here, listeners would be disgusted if I don't ask your thoughts on, of course, the yellow metal. When gold was at $275 an ounce in 2002, you called the bottom, and in 2004, you saw the big run coming. Well, what are the tea leaves saying here about the current precious metals market?
We're holding true with our forecast, gold 2,000. And we, matter of fact, we say 2,000 because if we said higher, people would think that we were, you know, that's just too far out, but we don't see that at all. Fiat currencies are going to be worth nothing. And as many people know, there's a lot of manipulation holding down the market prices. So many people around the world who have more knowledge than the Americans on what the future is when your currency devalues are making moves to secure their future. Once that catches on and the gold rush begins, there will be no way of stopping it other than, of course, something like they did back in the FDR days, confiscation. We see gold continuing toward its 2,000 mark.
Very good. And are some of the fundamental drivers that you're watching, for instance, China's big decision to add over 454 tons of gold to its stockpile, not to mention it's turning its back for the first time in decades on the Treasury, on the American bonds. I mean, these are major trends, or at least ground-shaking events that seem to be setting the stage for an end of, as you refer to it, fiat currencies and the preeminence of the yellow metal.
Well, that's exactly it. And let's not forget, you know, Treasury sales have been very, very shaky of late. And we're seeing countries such as Russia talking about the gold standard. They have a lot of gold. And they're also talking about a new currency to replace the dollar, a world reserve currency. So gold to us is only going to go higher. There may be ups and downs, there always is, But on the long-term trend, we're seeing gold 2000.